Welcome to The Briefing, your weekly debrief of top news by the Arizona Republic and azcentral.com. I'm Rafael Carranza.
And I'm Laura Gersoni.
Laura, we just finished day 3 of the Democratic National Convention. We just heard from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz accepting that nomination for vice president. What did you think about his speech?
I think he did what he needed to do. He introduced himself, I would say, to a national audience. For a lot of Americans, this may have been their first time seeing Governor Walz delivering a speech, hearing a little about him. And indeed, he took the opportunity to tell viewers a little bit about himself. He played up his background as a former football coach, at one point, delivering his speech like a pep talk to a team in the fourth quarter of a football game. He talked about his background as a public school teacher. And he also took the opportunity to make a pitch to undecided voters. I thought it was interesting that he really focused on pocketbook issues. He talked about housing affordability, talked about lowering taxes for the middle class, lowering drug prices, really making a pitch to voters who are struggling economically. So, trying to seize that issue. And I guess he thinks it'll play to the Democrats' advantage in this ongoing presidential race.
Definitely, and another topic that I want us to talk about is about immigration, because we know that is a big topic of discussion this election season. We see it in the airwaves in Arizona all throughout, and we continue to see it over the course of the next few months. And up until today, we really hadn't heard much from Democrats about their vision for immigration. That changed today when we heard from some of the speakers talking about what what a Harris administration would look like. They did talk about, for example, the bipartisan border deal that Trump voted against, or that he turned down earlier this year. They talked about how under a Harris presidency, she would bring that law back and apply it. So that's a topic that, of course, is also going to be on the ballot for Arizona in November. There's a proposition, a ballot measure that will appear there, where voters will decide whether to criminalize state border crossings. There's an expectation that it will pass. However, even if it does that, there's no guarantee that it will take effect, because it's all dependent on what happens with a case out of Texas that really kind of served as the blueprint for that. So that's a topic, of course, that we'll be following very closely. But the main highlight, the DNC, of course, we're here because Vice President Kamala Harris is the official nominee. What does she need to do tomorrow, on day 4, on Thursday, whenever she delivers her acceptance speech?
That's the big question. As you said, tomorrow is this long-awaited speech where she'll officially accept the nomination. I think there are a lot of questions hanging in voters' minds at the moment. She has had good luck playing the greatest hits, so to speak, of the Democratic Party these days, talking about abortion, talking about individual freedoms. But I think a lot of voters, including myself, are wondering, how is she going to set herself apart from President Biden? Is her candidacy going to be just a continuity of his presidential term? Is she going to present new ideas? Really, what does she stand for now that she is at the top of the ticket and not second in command? So that will be the big question in my mind ahead of her speech, and we'll have to see what she says.
And it's probably the biggest opportunity that she will have to define herself, because, of course, as we know, as the season kicks into high gear, this will also be the chance and the opportunity for Donald Trump to really try to define, her on their own terms. And this is probably going to be the biggest opportunity, obviously a big primetime speech for her to be able to do that. So we'll be following that very closely. For the latest information, stay tuned to azcentral.com. We will have a lot more from you here in Chicago for day 4 of the Democratic National Convention. Stay tuned.